Each and every Thursday, we check in with Kathy Helbig. Been doing this a while. She comes in here. She has a little trick. She has a little hack, if you will, when it comes to the inspection.
Trick. Yes.
All right, what's your hack?
So with the market heating up, and yes, the market is heating up. Today's two top headlines I read was new home sales are up 9.6% this month, past March over February. And there's a whole new group of buyers supposedly that have taken surveys out there somewhere that are going to be coming out.
Here come the buyers.
They're coming out. So,
all right.
So here's the deal. When the market heats up like this, prices, obviously competitive offers, price is king. But then when there's a bunch of offers that are very similar in price, what's next? The least amount of contingencies, right? So
Sure.
we're back to people pulling off inspections again, pulling off appraisal risers again. And that can make a lot of people very nervous, and it's daunting to do, so that makes some people shy back, especially the inspection piece.
Sure.
So a little tip that you can use right now, buyers, if you're not comfortable with just going into a house and saying, I'm going to take all my inspections off, you can book a building inspector for your showing time and have that building inspector show up with you and do what's called a walk and talk inspection. It's a abbreviated inspection. They look at the major systems. They're not putting it all into their laptop
Right.
and taking the 3 hours to prepare the reports, but they're walking you through and looking at the main systems and expensive items that potentially could be something that would derail your sale. So that gives you a little bit more information. You're more educated on the house before you make the offer, and it might make you comfortable enough to go ahead and take that risk. And I say risk because I'm not telling anybody not to do an inspection, but if that's something that you feel like you need to do to compete rather than going in blindly, book an inspector for this walk and talk. It's a lot more mind settling for you then to move forward. And also, honestly, for the seller, because it is nerve-wracking for a seller to even take an offer, worrying that if there's any other outs, that somebody's going to use a different out to get out because they didn't make it contingent on the inspection, but they end up doing one anyway. And then they end up trying to back out from another reason. So
this walk and talk, do you have to get the sign off on the listing agent or the seller or anything?
Not really. I mean, I've had people bringing in ours without telling us, but sometimes you can say, hey, we're going to bring an inspector along with us when we book the appointments. It's totally your call. I mean, you're going to need an hour appointment.
Right.
A lot of times you
so
book
they'll come
30
in and
to
be
45
like,
minutes.
this furnace, this furnace is good furnace, or you don't realize this is a bad furnace.
Or like the roof.
And nowadays there are overlapping appointments. When we went through COVID, they stopped overlapping appointments. So just because you have that hour an appointment does not mean that another buyer might not show up during that time frame. You can't control that.
Yeah.
But this is just one more way to arm yourself as a buyer to say, all right, I'm not completely going in blind on this house.
Right.
I have a professional that's giving me the lowdown.
The inspector's going to, he's going to charge you, or she's going to charge you.
Absolutely. It's a reduced cost because there's less work involved for the inspector, but there's still a charge to it.
Yeah, so you want to make sure if you're going to go look at a couple houses.
Yeah, you don't want to take them shopping all day long, right?
We have three more that we want to look at.
That's actually a pretty good tip, actually. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
What is the philosophy between buying a new house for $500,000 or buying an existing house for $500,000? Is there any rule of thumb to buyers? I mean, is there any...
Well, when you're getting a new house, it's hard to find the comparable houses at the same price as new and used.
Right.
So usually you're getting newer, sometimes smaller square footage, but newer stuff, right? But and then you're also not getting the landscaping, the blinds, the Sonos systems, and all the things that you're going to get the bells and whistles oftentimes with a resale house.
Right.
Because that first buyer invested in all those things.
There's not a deck. There's not a sprinkler system. Yeah.
Correct. So you really
Closets
do have
aren't
to
done.
weigh out the price differences.
Right.
The advantage is you get to pick everything the way you want it.
Right.
That's the advantage of new construction.
Yeah.
It takes a while. It's painstaking to do.
Plus, you have to live through other houses being built next to you and down the
That's
street
right.
and everything else.
But ultimately, if you're one of those people that just cannot live in somebody else's house, and there are people like that will not live in somebody else's house, or you just don't have vision and you can't go in and say, I really don't like their kitchen. I'm going to go new construction because I wanted white cabinets and they have dark cabinets.
Yeah, but that's a good point, too, though. So the one new construction is paying for the new deck and the new sprinkler system, but the old house, I don't like the living room, so I'm going to rip up the carpets and put the hardwood floors, so there's costs involved there.
So you just got to weigh it out and measure it out dollar per dollar, because you would be surprised how much it is still to add to a house once you have constructed it.
Oh,
there is
yeah.
a lot of little nickel and dime things that add up afterwards.
What market's heating up?
Market's heating up. We haven't quite hit that 500 per week coming up yet. We're close. Yesterday when I checked, we had 471 new listings that hit the market.
Yeah.
I think we had 160 coming soon. So we're inching up a little bit each week. We're seeing a little bit more business in our office in particular,
Right.
and we're definitely seeing multiple offers.
Really?
And backups. So we have backups to backups now, which is not a bad idea.
I know. You've been
I'm
singing the
telling
backup
you. I know.
idea.
I sung the backup last week. I'm singing a backup to the backup this week because we've seen a couple go into place.
You know what? Backups are good, but you can only have one real estate company, and that's Kathy
This is
Helbig. 314-276-SOLD. 314-276-SOLD or KathyHelbigGroup.com. They'll have your back.
We'll have your back.
How about that? Speaking of
Expect to be
backups.
moved.
Yes, expect to be moved. And
right.
they'll also get you a inspector for that showing.
Yes. we have lots of referrals.
314-276-SOLD or KathyHelbigGroup.com. Good stuff. Thanks for coming.